Hey everybody, it's Louie. So I've taken the past weekend to try out the Battlefield 2042 beta. Since I couldn't find any local retailers carrying the gold edition physical copy, I had to wait till the 8th to access the beta. And from what I experienced, my feelings are incredibly mixed. So today, I'm going to share with you my thoughts and opinions on the Battlefield 2042 experience that DICE decided to share with us. So let's start off with the good. I'm not sure everyone will agree with this, but I really like the removal of the class-specific weapons and gadgets. Okay, now hear me out on this. As someone who plays recon and medic a lot, it's a bit disheartening to run across a tank or enemy vehicle and see the potential for a kill but not be able to do anything about it, because guess what? I'm not carrying any effective anti-vehicle gadgets. It also allows flexibility in squad composition, as you can coordinate on the gadgets that you can bring without affecting your weapon choices in-game. PTK in this game is slower than previous titles, but that kind of makes sense as engagements this time around are more mid to long range rather than close to mid range in previous titles. So it's not really a plus, but it's not really a minus either. I'm also really fond of the new specialist-specific gadgets that we have. More the gadgets themselves than not really how they're implemented, but we'll get into that later. The most fun I've had, and it seems that everybody else is having, is with McKay's grappling hook. It provides great movement and allows you to escape sticky situations easily. Also, it's just fun to rope around the map, kind of like Spider-Man. Boris's sentry turret is a good way to draw fire from the enemy while you take them out, or even to hold choke points. Casper's recon drone makes for fun kills by attaching C4 and blowing up unsuspecting groups of enemies, or even vehicles. Each player can also have a call-in of a robotic sentry dog called Ranger, which follows you around and detects and fires on nearby enemies. You can also call in transports as well as tanks, if and when the system works. Another thing I really liked is the plus system they implemented for Battlefield 2042. This new system allows you to switch up attachments on your weapons on the fly. On a big map with lots of long-range engagements, switch out your scope and barrel for a steadier fire from range. In a close-range firefight situation, switch out your magazine for more ammo and a red dot sight, and swap your undergrip for a grenade launcher. Now, you won't have to be stuck with your attachments up until your next deployment, and allows you to be more efficient and adaptable in any situation. An issue I have with this though is the amount of choice for the attachments and their variety. My hope is that DICE will allow us to customize the attachments that we can put on the plus system whenever we deploy. Next up is the player count and map size. I know it only applies to next-gen consoles and PC, but the massive player count for Battlefield 2042 is great. You can be sure that in each sector there are going to be firefights just around the corner, simply because there's so many people in the game. I've rarely experienced having an uncontested objective for long, as enemies will respond right away, and sometimes they come in droves. Don't be surprised though if sometimes a single objective can have 30 to 40 people at one time. And even with the gigantic size of the new maps, judging from what I've seen with Orbital, there won't be a lack of action anywhere for too long, unlike my frustration with Battlefield 5's Hamada and Al Sandan maps. Now it's time to get into the other side of the coin. I've had a lot of problems while playing Battlefield 2042. I'm not going to get too much into the stuff that I know they're already fixing or will obviously fix, but let's just talk about them for a bit. We'll start off with the UI. Frankly, I'm not too much of a fan. It's very busy and doesn't really feel intuitive. For example is the kill feed, which is now located in the lower left side of the HUD, right above the minimap. It doesn't feel like it's giving me appropriate information, and I can't really tell who's killing who in the game because guess what? the names are all the same color. Also, the notifications for losing or capturing objectives is very jarring and intrusive for me. In Battlefield 5, it came up in the upper middle of your screen so you don't have to look far away and you're still aware of your surroundings. Graphical glitches absolutely need to get fixed, as I've experienced a lot of weird textures popping up around the map, and white strobing lights that are very distracting, also dangerous for people who have photosensitive epilepsy. The Comoros is not present, which makes it weird when I get revived and I'm not able to thank the person who did it, or I'm not even able to ask for ammo or med pouches, which is another thing that I'll get into later. Matchmaking needs some work, as I've had a lot of trouble getting to a lot of games, always saying unknown error, so I don't know what to do about that. There's loads more issues that I'm sure will be fixed, or DICE has already promised to fix. Or just part of the open beta experience, since the build that they used for this beta is already a few months old. So we'll move on to my bigger issues with the game. Let's start off with identifiability. And oh boy, is this a big issue. Many players have already complained that it is already hard to tell whether someone is an enemy or a teammate in their game sessions. This is due to the fact that each team comprises of the same specialists, while having no distinguishing uniforms or markings to differentiate the teams. Some will say, just use the minimap, or look for the dots above their head. And I don't think that's the point, because I shouldn't have to rely on the minimap to tell if an enemy is close by when I'm surrounded by 4 or 5 Websters that all look exactly the same. And the dot above their head very much blends into the skybox, so it gets even harder to tell. Another issue is when an enemy steps in front of a teammate and there's this split second that you think they're friendly because their name hasn't showed up yet, or the name that appears is the one from the friendly behind them, and eventually they'll get the drop on you. This is a very big issue with the game, which can hopefully be fixed by adding identifying markers on the specialist uniforms, or even a color change for each team. Whatever the case, they need to fix it by the time the game launches, because that's way too big of a problem. Another issue I have is movement mechanics. While I applaud their effort to incorporate movement from Battlefield 5, they took away a lot of good movement that would have certainly fit in this setting. There are no more ledge grabs in this game, which is a bit disappointing, as traversal should be more fluid, and getting over obstacles should be improved upon this time around. Mantling higher platforms doesn't seem to be present either, which is a weird choice, I guess. The entire movement mechanic of 2042 seems all a step back from what they did in Battlefield 5, and it's really disappointing. Attrition seems to be back, and with a vengeance this time around. Ammo is extremely sparse in 2042, and ammo dumps and med stations are gone. So forget about restocking in objective areas. And the people who bring ammo boxes aren't too keen on bringing them out, coupled with the fact that a lot of players would rather bring anti-tank or anti-air gadgets. It gets to be a problem when you're defending an objective and you're out of ammo. So this next point is one that is more of a personal issue, but I think sniping sucks now. They seem to have created a hybrid of Battlefield 5 sniping, which I loved, and Battlefield 4 sniping, which I hated. The bullet velocity is unsatisfying, as your bullets travel slower than automatic rifles. How can you compete with someone using an M5 at range when their bullets hit faster than yours would hit them? Bullet drop is also terrible in this game, as even at 100 meters, your bullets drop way low and you often miss your shot. I don't feel that going recon or sniper in this game is very satisfying or rewarding, as evidenced by the fact that almost everyone in this game is either carrying the M5, the PBX, or the LCMG. Those guns, even at range, can deal hard damage while having great bullet velocity and stable recoil. Gunplay in this game otherwise is really good, so I hope that DICE does something about this. So these are my opinions on the game so far. I'm still gonna buy it at launch because, let's face it, I love Battlefield. And this game shows a bit of promise, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done before it can excel. What about you? Were you able to play the beta? What are your thoughts on it? Do you agree or disagree with my points? Let me know down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. And thank you as always for watching.